Christian woman, Asia Bibi, had spent 8 years on death row in Pakistan after being convicted of blasphemy. She was finally acquitted on appeal this month. As if 8 years wasn't enough, her acquittal sparked violent protests by thousands of fundamentalists demanding her head. Her lawyer has now fled Pakistan in fear of his own life. Bibi's husband said he too fears for his family's safety and has asked Theresa May to grant them asylum. Boris Johnson has written to cabinet ministers with the same request. So far, asylum hasn't been offered. It is alleged that the UK has stopped short of making this offer because her move to the UK would cause unrest among British Muslims and would also pose a security threat to our embassies abroad. Now, even a red tape rejection would be easier for me to stomach than the allegation that our asylum system cowers in the face of a fanatical mob. Isn't the system meant for the exact opposite, to provide sanctuary to those being hounded by such fanatics? Such appeasement surely renders our asylum system no longer fit for purpose.
Maajid, I completely agree with you, not in relation to asylum in the UK, but I completely agree with you in terms of just how horrific Asia Bibi's circumstances are. My only issue with what you're saying is she's been offered asylum in Spain and in France, but for whatever reason, her husband is saying that he would rather asylum in the UK. And
that's reportedly, of course. We don't know.
Reportedly. What I don't understand is why aren't those two good options? Because the main thing is to actually get the Pakistanis to agree to allow her to leave the country.
Of course,
which is what the focus should be on, because she has 2 places that she can go to.
But that would be the main thing, definitely, is to get her out safely first. Of course, just as a recap, it's so dangerous in Pakistan that the governor of the former now governor, the late governor of the most powerful province, Punjab, when simply campaigning for a reform in the law that had her convicted for so-called blasphemy, was murdered by his own bodyguard. Her own lawyer has fled the country. It is that dangerous that we've got to get her out of the country first and foremost.
I've been to Pakistan, and they can throw a mob together in 5 minutes. So you only
the
get
mere allegation
where she is, and they'll be on it. They'll be all over
but in answer to your question, June, I think my main concern isn't that she wasn't granted asylum in Britain, though that is a concern of mine. My main concern are the reasons given, and I don't think it sets a good precedent to start refusing asylum applications based upon what we fear the people from whom that person is seeking refuge might do. Because for me, that subverts the purpose of asylum in the first place.
Before anyone else comes in, can we have a look at what Theresa May actually had to say on this?
Our primary concern is for the safety and security of Asia Bibi and her family, and we want to see a swift resolution of the situation. Obviously, there's an issue for the government and courts in Pakistan, and the Prime Minister, Imran Khan, has publicly supported the Supreme Court and promised to uphold the rule of law while providing continued protection for Asia Bibi. But a number of countries are in discussion about providing a safe destination for her once the legal process is complete. I'm sure the House will understand. Given the sensitivity of this case, it wouldn't be right to comment on the details of those proposals at this stage. But we remain in close contact with international partners to ensure Asia Bibi's long-term safety and her interests.
So there you have it. So international partners have got together and have decided that the best option is France and Spain.
Well, that's where I think the reasons that are being reported by the British Pakistani Christian Association as to why Britain wasn't an option on the table are what worry me. And I say that I think actually if we start saying that we're not going to grant asylum because we fear the reaction of those from whom refuge is sought, we're pretty much turning the asylum system on its head.
That concern is legitimate? So if we make it not about this particular lady or her family, and we pick up on your point, and we're saying that actually there is people raising that there's a concern, do you think that's a legitimate fear?
It is likely to be the case that fanatics would like to retaliate against anybody that defends Asia Bibi. They've already killed the governor of Punjab. So if that's your question...
No, I'm talking about in this country.
Yes, even in this country. In Glasgow, we had a shopkeeper that was murdered by a Muslim fundamentalist fanatic because he happened to be from a different sect.
So how...
Can I ask a question which is actually about blasphemy? Is it legitimate to accuse Asia Bibi of blasphemy when, as I understand it, she is a Christian farm worker who simply drank out of a bucket used by Muslims and then said, well, I am a Christian, so I'm not actually, didn't actually say anything. And it's, I think, unbelievably hard and regrettable that President Imran Khan, who's been in office for 100 days, who's used the very fanatical religious base, has not come out and stood up for this woman.
Absolutely.
Can we just hear from the head of the Pakistani, Wilson Chowdhury, who leads the Pakistan Christian Association?
With Imran Khan, I'm not sure how confident I am that he has the appetite for change, not only because of the threat of danger to himself, but also because he has quite openly declared great support for the blasphemy laws. These draconian medieval laws are being used as a tool for persecution. How any government leader can claim that they need to be espoused and championed by the populace, it beggars belief.
Scandal that this modernising, so-called modernising playboy actually used the very fervour that threatens not just Asia Bibi and her family, but actually anyone who tries to protect her from the mob.
I think for me, the fact that, but you're saying about Spain and France, for me, it's not something that should be passed around like a hot potato. It's yours, it's yours, it's yours. It's something we should be saying, right, get in here, love, quick. Let's sort this out. Let's get you out of there. Let's get you out of harm's way and let's save you. And that's what asylum is about. And I don't care if Mr. So-and-so over there is going to boo off, and I don't care if you're going to come after me, because you're doing wrong and I'm doing right.
Good.
And that's it,
well
bust.
said, Phil.
Yeah, and Phil, also, let's remember, again, to back you up there on that point, let's remember that this country gave Malala Yousafzai asylum. Ahmed Nawaz, who was also shot in the Taliban school attack, gave him asylum. And we're incredibly proud that those two are now campaigners and prominent, activists on this stuff. Malala's at Oxford. I think they end up becoming people that this country becomes incredibly proud of.
And the Malala Foundation campaigns for women's education throughout the Muslim world.
So, but then what do we do? Because I really strongly feel that we've got a situation where, as a country then, whether officially or not, you've got people saying that actually we can't accept this lady and the family in because she's ultimately going to be unsafe from fanatics, from Islamist fanatics, or whatever the correct terminology is. But then if people start trying to have those conversations about how do we resolve that situation, you're immediately branded Islamophobic. So what do we do about this scenario that you're describing? Because I think it is wholly unacceptable that you would have people in this country that would want to kill or hurt somebody else just because they don't agree with their religion. I think that is despicable. How do we fix that?
As you know, Michelle, this is part of what I try and do. And after the Charlie Hebdo attacks, back to your point about the fact that it could happen here, yes, after the Charlie Hebdo attacks, when surveyed, I think it was roughly a quarter of British Muslims said that they sympathised with the attackers who murdered those people at the Charlie Hebdo offices for blasphemy. It was just around 26%. So there is a problem. And when you say, what do we do, how do we speak about it? Of course, when I speak about it, even as a born and raised Muslim, I've been labelled as an anti-Muslim extremist, and I had to then sue people and win in a case of defamation for that. So it is incredibly difficult to have a rational and reasonable conversation around this. But the only thing we can do is let the facts guide us. Those survey results are out there, the polls are out there. Led by facts, have an intelligent and reasonable conversation about this until we end up moving the debate forward. I think it is the only option. We shouldn't allow that censure to prevent us from having this conversation.
Yeah, but prevented from having the conversation we often are. And for me, that is one of the core problems.